diving deep into NLP this time.
Oh, yeah.
Goal setting, missions, motivation.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's like, are we searching for the ultimate life hack or something?
You know, it really is kind of like having this toolbox, right?
Yeah.
A powerful set of tools to, well, to really understand your own mind and then...
Use that to get what you want, basically.
Exactly. Upgrade your mental operating system, if you will.
I like that. But, okay, I got to admit, NLP, it's always seemed a little, I don't know, is it really scientific or more like self-help stuff?
It's a bit of both, honestly.
Yeah.
It all started back in the 70s with these two guys, Bandler and Grinder.
Oh, yeah, I've heard those names.
Yeah, and the thing is, they weren't therapists themselves, but they were fascinated by, like, what made the really successful therapists so good,
Interesting.
you know? And they wanted to figure out, like, could you actually model that excellence? Could you teach it to others?
So they were like reverse engineering the therapy gurus.
Exactly. And what they found was, well, it wasn't about magical gifts or anything, but skills that could be learned. So whether it's, I don't know, getting over a phobia or just boosting your motivation, NLP basically says, hey, if someone else can master it, you can too.
Okay, that's a pretty empowering idea. I'll give you that.
Right.
But before we go changing our whole lives, what are the core ideas behind this whole NLP thing?
One of the most important, and you'll hear this a lot, is the map is not the territory.
Okay.
It's about realizing our perceptions are like maps in our minds, but they're not always accurate representations of, reality.
So if I think everyone hates me,
Yeah,
I might actually act in ways that make that true, even if it wasn't the case originally.
exactly. And NLP gives you those tools to kind of redraw those maps, change how you see things, and ultimately change your whole experience.
Wow, okay. I'm starting to see how this works.
Another key principle is that experience has structure.
Okay.
So how we actually organize memories impacts how we feel about them.
Hold on. Are you saying I can, actually change how I feel about a past event? Just by changing how I think about it? How does that even work?
Well, we can kind of shift the emotional charge of a memory by changing how we represent it in our minds. Maybe visualizing it differently, connecting different feelings to it. It's almost like, editing a film, but in your mind.
Okay, that's where it starts to get really interesting. So it's not about erasing memories. It's more like reframing them, changing the narrative, so to speak.
That's a great way to put it. And another important idea is that, well, our mind and body aren't really separate. They're one system.
I can see that.
So techniques like changing your posture, your breathing, that can actually shift your emotional state.
So I'm not stuck with whatever mood I wake up in. I can actually change my state by changing my, body language.
You got it.
I'm starting to think this NLP stuff is more than just self-help.
Oh.
It sounds almost like, I don't know, a superpower.
It really is about recognizing the potential we all have.
Yeah.
We often limit ourselves with these negative beliefs, habits, but NLP provides tools to kind of break free.
Okay. Sounds amazing, but let's be real for a second.
Yeah.
Sometimes knowing I have potential doesn't help when I can't even get off the couch,
Yeah.
Where does motivation fit into all this?
Well, that's where the direction of motivation concept comes in.
Okay.
Some people, they're driven towards what they want, rewards, goals, those positive outcomes.
Got it.
Others are motivated away from what they don't want, so like pain, problems, the negative consequences.
So it's like, are you chasing that delicious meal or are you running from a starving lion? Both get you moving, but in very different ways.
Exactly. Both types of motivation work, but knowing which one drives you is key. Are you drawn to opportunities or do you act to avoid problems?
I'm going to think about that one. And I bet good leaders, managers, they need to understand these different motivational styles.
Absolutely. Understanding how to motivate yourself and others, that's a game changer right there.
Yeah, for sure.
And another piece of this whole puzzle is understanding your values.
Values, what really matters to me.
Right. Think about it. When you have strong values, things that matter deeply to you, your motivation, it naturally gets stronger.
I can see that.
Without strong values, it's easy to just drift.
Yeah.
Feeling unfulfilled, maybe even ending up with regrets about what you didn't pursue.
Makes sense. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, right?
Yeah.
But how do you even figure out what your core values are?
Well, NLP actually provides a technique for that.
Oh.
It uses something called submodalities.
Submodalities.
Yeah, they're like the special effects of our internal imagery. Things like, is the mental image big or small, bright or dim, near or far?
Okay.
And we can actually change these submodalities to make our values feel more, more motivating.
Hold on, you're saying I can change how I feel about something just by changing how I visualize it in my head?
You might sound strange,
Yeah.
but it's a technique that's helped a lot of people make real changes. Like one of the sources you sent, it talked about someone overcoming food cravings by changing the submodalities of the mental image they had of, certain foods.
Interesting.
It's like rewiring your brain to find healthy choices more appealing.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. So we've got this inner map, our values, but where is it all leading us? That's where this mission idea comes in, right?
Yes. A mission, it's like this unifying vision for your life,
Yeah.
like a compass, pointing you towards what truly matters.
I like that.
And it's not something you force, it's something you discover within yourself.
Hmm.
Like, think about someone like Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
You could say his mission is to be this, amazing storyteller using movies to touch people's lives.
That's a good way to put it.
Right. Every film he makes, every goal he achieves, it's a step towards that larger mission.
So it's like the big picture, the overarching purpose, and our goals are what? The individual brushstrokes that create that picture.
That's a great way to put it. And just like Spielberg, each of us, we can find our own mission, that thing that makes our efforts feel, truly worthwhile.
Finding that mission. That sounds like the hard part.
Yeah.
Does NLP offer any help with that?
It can. It often starts by looking at, what truly excites you.
Yeah.
What activities make you feel so passionate, like you'd even pay to do them?
Mm-hmm.
What do you love to learn about? The problems you want to solve? These can all be clues pointing you towards your mission.
So it's not about choosing just one thing, but more about finding the thread that connects all the things that light us up.
Exactly. Imagine, creating a collage that represents your ideal life. What would be in it? What would you be doing? What kind of impact would you be having on the world?
That's a great exercise. But let's be honest, sometimes even with a clear mission, getting started feels impossible.
Yeah.
Like we need a plan, not just daydreams. That's where goal setting comes in, right?
Yeah.
You got it. A mission without goals is like a car without an engine. It's not going anywhere. But goal setting in NLP, it's more than just writing down smart goals. It's about engaging your unconscious mind, tapping into its wisdom.
Okay, so big mission,
Right.
great.
Yeah.
But how do we actually break that down into something, actionable, something we can actually do?
All right, let's break it down into 4 steps.
I'm ready.
First, you got to make sure the goal itself is well-formed.
Okay.
Is it phrased positively? Is it something you truly desire, not just something you should do?
I like that.
Is it specific?
Okay.
And does it have positive consequences when you achieve it?
That sounds logical.
Yeah.
No more vague wishes or goals that end up making me miserable.
Exactly.
So once I have a well-formed goal, what's next?
The next step is to create a compelling future in your mind.
Okay.
You're going to vividly visualize yourself achieving this goal using all your senses.
Wow.
Make it so real, so attractive, so emotionally engaging that you're practically pulled towards it.
So it's not just about picturing the end result, it's about feeling it, experiencing it in my mind, like a daydream on steroids.
Exactly. The more real and appealing that future feels, the more motivated you'll be to reach it.
Okay, I can see that.
And then this is where things get really interesting. We tap into the power of your unconscious mind to help you come up with a plan.
Okay, now you've got me hooked.
Right.
How do we get our unconscious minds to spill the secrets on how to achieve these awesome goals? So how do we actually, tap into that unconscious wisdom?
It's a technique called future pacing.
Okay,
So imagine yourself in the future. You've already achieved your goal.
got it.
Now, mentally walk yourself back from that point of success, back to the present moment.
Oh.
Notice the steps you took, the resources you used, the challenges you overcame. Trust your unconscious mind to kind of guide you. It often knows the path even when our conscious mind is totally clueless.
So it's like we're reverse engineering our own success story. We're basically time travelers, scouting out the route to our goals.
I like that.
This is seriously cool stuff.
It is pretty cool. And once you have that plan, the final and most important step is to take action.
Okay.
You got to schedule those action steps in your calendar like you would any important appointment.
Right.
And don't forget to celebrate each milestone along the way. That keeps the motivation going strong.
It sounds simple when you lay it out like that,
Yeah.
but I know from experience it can be tough to stick with it.
Oh, absolutely.
There's always something that comes up, some excuse to put things off.
That's where the power of having that strong mission and values really comes in.
Yeah.
When you're connected to something bigger than yourself, something that truly matters, it's easier to stay motivated, even when things get tough.
That makes sense, like having a North Star to guide you, even when the seas get rough.
Exactly.
Speaking of getting things done, I wanted to circle back to this submodalities idea.
Mhm.
You said we can tweak the qualities of our mental images to make things, I don't know, more or less appealing.
Yeah, remember, those are those subtle qualities of our mental representations.
Okay.
Things like size, brightness, color, distance, even the feel of an image.
Mm-hmm.
And by consciously changing these submodalities, we can change how we feel about something.
So, like, if I'm trying to, I don't know, cut back on sweets,
Yeah.
I could picture this giant, juicy donut, but then shrink it down to the size of a dime, make it all dull and gray.
Mm-hmm.
Would that actually make me want it less?
You got it. You're basically telling your brain, this isn't so appealing anymore.
That's pretty cool.
Right.
What if you're having trouble getting motivated to exercise?
Well, then you could do the opposite.
Okay.
Imagine yourself feeling energized and strong after a workout.
Yeah.
Make that image big and bright and really feel those positive sensations.
So it's like we're directing our own internal movies.
Exactly.
We can choose the special effects, the soundtrack, the whole shebang.
You got it.
I have to admit, this sounds a bit like magic, too.
It might.
I'm a little skeptical, but I'm willing to try it.
It's not magic, but it does tap into the power of your imagination and how that influences your state of mind. And like any skill, it takes practice.
Yeah.
The more you work with these techniques, the more control you gain over your thoughts, your feelings, the whole thing.
Okay, I'm on board. But what about, like, my inner critic?
Ah, yes.
You know, that voice that always tells me I'm not good enough or that I'm going to fail.
We all have one.
Can NLP help with that negativity?
NLP sees that voice as a part of you that's actually trying to protect you, even if it's not doing it in the most, helpful way.
So it's not necessarily bad. It just needs, like, a little retraining.
Exactly. Instead of fighting that voice, NLP encourages you to understand it, have a conversation with it.
Really?
Like, ask it, what are you trying to protect me from? What do you need?
Wait, I'm supposed to negotiate with my inner demons.
It might sound strange, but it can be surprisingly effective. By understanding its motivations, you can often reframe the message, maybe even transform it into a more supportive ally.
So instead of battling it, I can try to work with it.
Right.
Maybe even learn from it.
Exactly. Like if your inner critic says, you're going to fail, you could ask it, well, what would it take for me to succeed? And those answers might give you some valuable insights.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. I like that.
Right.
You mentioned before that NLP isn't just about visuals.
Uh-huh.
We also have these internal sounds, feelings, even our self-talk.
Absolutely.
Does NLP have techniques for those too?
Absolutely. You can apply NLP principles to any of your senses.
Okay.
For example, let's say you get, anxious before giving presentations.
I know that feeling.
You could identify a sound or a piece of music that makes you feel calm and confident,
Yeah.
and then mentally associate that sound with the feeling of giving a successful presentation.
So like creating a positive anchor,
Yeah.
a mental cue that just shifts my state.
Exactly. With practice, your brain will automatically access that calmer state whenever you hear that sound, even if you're about to face, a room full of people.
That's incredible. It's like we have all these mental tools and NLP is teaching us how to use them.
That's a great way to put it.
We've covered so much from understanding motivation to like rewiring our brains to deal with those anxieties.
It's a lot, yeah.
Is there anything else we need to know before we, move on?
Well, I think we've just scratched the surface of NLP,
I figured.
but you've got a good grasp of the fundamentals.
Okay, good.
The key is to really start applying these techniques, in your own life.
That makes sense.
The more you experiment, the more you'll discover what works for you.
So much to think about. Where do we even begin applying all this NLP stuff?
One of the most impactful areas you can use it is, in communication.
Communication.
It's not just about the words we say, right? It's the whole package.
Yeah.
Your body language, your tone of voice, even your energy.
Right.
NLP gives you tools to really understand and master those subtle cues.
So it's almost like being a human lie detector. Knowing when someone's not really buying it, even if they're like nodding along.
It's part of it, but it's more than just spotting deception.
Okay.
NLP calls it sensory acuity.
Sensory acuity.
Yeah, it's about paying close attention to those subtle shifts in someone's physiology,
Okay.
their facial expressions, their breathing.
Got it.
It's about becoming, a more aware communicator, really picking up on those unspoken signals.
I can see how that would be helpful, like in so many situations,
Sure.
job interviews, negotiations, even just having a difficult conversation with someone.
Absolutely. And there are techniques for building rapport, too.
Rapport. Okay.
Creating that sense of trust and connection with with the other person.
Makes sense.
One technique is called matching and mirroring.
Matching and mirroring. Interesting.
It involves subtly mirroring their body language, tone of voice, even their breathing patterns.
Wait, so I got to copy everything they do. Won't that be, like, super weird?
It's not about mimicking them exactly.
Okay.
It's more about these subtle, almost unconscious adjustments. And when it's done well, it creates this like sense of harmony, of understanding.
Yeah.
Really accelerates that rapport building.
Okay, I can see how that will work. It's like finding, I don't know, a shared language, a
Yeah.
common rhythm.
Exactly.
So once I've got this rapport going, are there, like, NLP techniques for actually influencing someone? This is where it starts to sound like mind control.
Influence, yes, but mind control, no.
Okay, good.
Ethical NLP is all about creating those win-win situations,
Right.
not manipulating or coercing people.
Of course, of course.
One powerful technique is called anchoring.
Anchoring. Didn't we talk about that before?
Remember how we were talking about creating positive anchors to shift your own emotional state? You can also use anchors to influence other people's states.
Okay, now that's interesting. How do I do that?
Imagine you're in a negotiation and you want the other person to, I don't know, feel more open and receptive.
Okay,
You could subtly touch their arm or use a specific phrase while they're in that positive, agreeable state. Later on, you could repeat that touch or phrase to kind of trigger that same feeling of openness.
okay, that's pretty sneaky, but also kind of brilliant.
Right. It can be a very effective technique.
Yeah,
But again, it's all about intention.
right. Ethics matter.
Are you using this to create a mutually beneficial outcome, or are you trying to, like, trick someone into doing something against their best interests?
Right, got it.
It's a powerful tool.
So we've talked about communication, personal growth, goal setting. Where LSE can this be applied? Are there any limitations?
NLP has been used successfully in a wide range of fields.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy, coaching, business, sports, even education.
Wow, that's a lot.
One area I find particularly interesting is its use in, helping people overcome fears and phobias.
Oh, now that's something I could use some help with.
Right.
Are you saying NLP can, like, cure my fear of spiders?
Cure, maybe not, but it can definitely help you reframe that phobia and desensitize yourself to those, well, creepy crawlies.
I'm listening.
One technique is called visual kinesthetic dissociation.
Visual kinesthetic dissociation. That sounds complicated.
It's about mentally separating yourself from the fearful experience.
Oh.
So imagine watching yourself, like on a movie screen, experiencing the phobia, but you're safe in your seat.
Right.
Then you gradually change the qualities of that movie, the size of the image, the sound, the brightness, to make it less intense, less threatening.
So I'm basically taking control of the scary movie in my head.
Exactly. By changing your internal representation of the experience, you change how you feel about it.
Wow, this is incredible. NLP really does seem like this powerful tool for making, well, positive changes.
It's not a secret weapon, though. It's about becoming aware of the power you already have within you.
Yeah.
NLP just gives you the framework for, accessing and utilizing that power.
This has been so eye-opening. Thank you for helping me see, I don't know, my mind and myself in a whole new way.
It's a journey, for sure.
It is.
A journey of self-discovery. Keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep believing in your ability to create the life you want.
That's great advice. Thanks again for being our guide on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this exploration into the world of NLP, and we can't wait to see what you achieve with these new tools.